Today's story, I found out my husband was cheating, so I gave him exactly what he wanted and took everything he didn't know he'd lose. I never thought I'd be the woman writing one of these posts. You know the type, the ones you read at 2 a.m. when you can't sleep, thinking that would never happen to me. Well, here I am. And honestly, I'm glad it happened, because the woman I am now would never go back to the woman I was a year ago. My name is Emma, I'm 34, and this is the story of how my husband's affair became the best thing that ever happened to me. Let me start at the beginning. I met Daniel when I was 26. He was charming, successful, drove a nice car, and had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We got married 2 years later in this beautiful ceremony that I planned down to every detail. Looking back, I should have noticed that he contributed almost nothing to the wedding planning, but I chalked it up to me being the creative one. We settled into what I thought was a good marriage. Daniel worked in commercial real estate and I was a graphic designer working from home. We had a nice house in the suburbs, took vacations twice a year, and had dinner with friends every weekend. On paper, we were perfect. But here's the thing about paper, it burns. The first crack appeared about 6 months before everything fell apart. Daniel started working late. Like really late. He'd come home at 10 p.m. smelling like expensive restaurants I'd never been to. When I asked about his day, he'd give me one-word answers and immediately go shower. He stopped initiating sex. He was always on his phone, angling it away from me. I know what you're thinking. Emma, those are literally all the signs. And you're right. But when you love someone, when you've built a life with them, your brain does this amazing thing where it creates perfectly reasonable explanations for everything. He's stressed about work. He's tired. He's going through something. I'm being paranoid. I'm being a bad wife for not being more supportive. The gaslighting wasn't even coming from him, yet I was doing it to myself. Then came March 15th. I remember the date because it was our 6th wedding anniversary. Daniel said he had to work late, of course, but he'd be home by 8 p.m. and we'd have a late dinner. I spent the whole day cooking his favorite meal, braised short ribs that take literally 6 hours to make. I bought a new dress. I set the table with candles. 8 p.m. came and went. Then 9 p.m. Then 10 p.m. At 10:30, I called him. It rang once and went to voicemail. He declined my call. On our anniversary. At 11, I called his office. No answer. I called his best friend, Marcus. He sounded weird, uncomfortable. Said he hadn't seen Daniel. I could tell he was lying. That's when something in me snapped. Not into region to clarity. You know that moment when you've been looking at one of those optical illusions, and suddenly you see the other image? It was like that. Every excuse I'd made for him dissolved, and I saw the truth so clearly it actually made me laugh. A horrible, hollow laugh while sitting alone at our anniversary table. I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. I'm a graphic designer, remember? Which means I'm good with computers. Really good. And Daniel, bless his arrogant heart, had never changed his passwords from the ones I set up for him years ago. We had shared everything: bank accounts, credit cards, cloud storage. He'd never thought to hide anything because he never thought I'd look. Big mistake. I started with his credit card statements. Dinners for 2 at expensive restaurants. Hotel rooms. Flowers, lots of flowers, none of which I'd received. Jewelry from Tiffany's that I'd never seen. I pulled up 6 months of statements and opened the spreadsheet. By 1 a.m., I had a complete financial picture of my husband's affair. Then I checked his cloud storage. He had automatically backed up his phone photos. I won't describe what I found, I'm sure you can imagine. But what I will tell you is that I recognized her. Her name was Jessica, and she was a 27-year-old junior agent at his real estate firm. I met her at the company Christmas party. She'd complimented my dress. I told her where I bought it. I sat there until sunrise, not moving, barely breathing, just absorbing it all. And then I made a decision. I wasn't going to cry, scream, or confront him. I was going to be smart. Daniel came home at 6 a.m. I was in the kitchen, already dressed, drinking coffee. The anniversary dinner was still on the table, congealed and cold. "Emma, I'm so sorry," he started. "There was an emergency with the Riverside property and It's fine," I said, smiling. "These things happen. I saved you a plate." He looked confused. Relieved but confused. "You're not mad?" "Daniel, I'm not going to be one of those wives who doesn't understand that your career comes first. We'll celebrate this weekend." I could see the tension leave his shoulders. He actually kissed my forehead. "You're amazing. I'm going to grab a shower and sleep for a few hours." As soon as I heard the water running, I took his phone. He'd left it on the counter unlocked. I forwarded myself every text message, every photo, every email. Then I factory reset an old iPad we had, signed into his accounts, and hid it in my home office. From now on, I'd see everything he did in real time. That was day one of my plan. For the next 3 months, I played the perfect wife. I smiled, I cooked, I pretended not to notice when he reeked of her perfume. And while I did that, I worked. First, I documented everything. Screenshots, photos, bank statements, hotel receipts. I created a cloud folder he didn't have access to and backed everything up 3 times. Second, I consulted with a divorce lawyer. Her name was Patricia, and she was a shark in a pencil skirt. I paid her in cash for a consultation, using money I'd been siphoning from our joint account into a private account he didn't know about. $200 here, $300 there, always small enough not to trigger alerts. Patricia told me that in our state, adultery affected alimony and asset division. She also told me that our house, which Daniel thought was his because his name was on the deed, was actually marital property. But here's the beautiful part. I had inherited $80,000 from my grandmother shortly before we got married. Daniel had convinced me to use it as a down payment on the house. Patricia told me I could claim that as separate property and get it back in the divorce. Third, and this is where it gets good, I got my ducks in a row professionally. See, I'd been working from home doing freelance graphic design, making decent money but nothing spectacular. Daniel always made comments about how he was the real breadwinner. So I started applying for jobs. Good jobs. The kind that would make me financially independent. Within a month, I had 3 offers. I accepted one at a creative agency in the city, $95,000 a year plus benefits, almost double what I was making freelance. I didn't tell Daniel. I just said I was picking up some new freelance clients and would be working different hours. Fourth, I reconnected with my friends. The ones I drifted away from because Daniel always had some criticism about them. "Jen talks too much. Sarah is a bad influence. Why do you need friends when you have me?" Classic isolation tactics I hadn't recognized. I reached out to my college roommate Mira, who I hadn't spoken to in 2 years. We met for coffee, and within 5 minutes I was crying in a Starbucks, telling her everything. She didn't judge me for staying or for my plan. She just held my hand and said, "I'm here for whatever you need." Mira became my rock. She helped me move important belongings to a storage unit, family heirlooms, my grandmother's jewelry, documents, my favorite books. Things I didn't want to fight over later. We did it while Daniel was working late, i.e. with Jessica. Finally, after 3 months of preparation, I was ready. It was a Saturday morning in June. Daniel was home, reading the newspaper and drinking coffee like he was in some kind of 1950s sitcom. I sat down across from him. "Daniel, we need to talk." He looked up, unconcerned. "What's up?" I slid a folder across the table. "I'm filing for divorce." His face went through about 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. "What, Emma? Where is this coming from?" I opened the folder. Inside were printed photos of him and Jessica. Screenshots of their texts, including the ones where they made fun of me. Bank statements with all the affair expenses highlighted in yellow. The blood drained from his face. "Emma, I can explain." "I don't need you to explain. I need you to listen." My voice was calm, steady. "I practiced this. I've already filed the paperwork. It'll be served on Monday. I have copies of everything here, and my lawyer has the originals. I'm citing adultery, which in the state means you're not getting alimony, and the asset division will favor me. You can't. I can, and I have. The house was purchased with $80,000 of my inheritance money. My lawyer is confident I'll get that back, plus half the equity. I've already opened my own bank accounts. I'm starting a new job on Monday that pays more than my freelance work ever did. I've moved my personal belongings to a secure location. He was sputtering now. You've been planning this for how long? 3 months, since our anniversary. You remember the one where you declined my call to have sex with Jessica in a hotel room? I paid for it with our joint credit card. Emma, please, can we just talk about this? No, here's what's going to happen. You're going to move out this weekend. I've already changed the locks. The new keys are not in this folder. You can stay with Marcus, or Jessica, or a hotel. I don't care. You'll get your belongings during scheduled times that my lawyer will coordinate. If you try to access our joint accounts or do anything to sabotage me financially, I will make sure every person at your firm, every client, and everyone in your family sees every photo, every text, and every receipt. Do you understand? I'd never seen Daniel speechless before. It was glorious. You can't do this, he finally said, but his voice was weak. I already have. You have until Sunday night to get out. He tried anger next. You're being crazy. People make mistakes. You're throwing away 6 years of marriage. No, Daniel, you threw away 6 years of marriage every time you took her to hotels, every time you bought her jewelry, every time you lied to my face. I'm just taking out the trash. That's when he tried crying. Actual tears. Emma, I love you. She means nothing. It was just physical. Please, we can work through this. I stood up. If you loved me, you wouldn't have fucked her on our anniversary. You have until Sunday. Don't make me call the police. I walked upstairs to my office, the one room I'd always kept locked lately, and I didn't come out until I heard his car leave 3 hours later. The divorce took 6 months. Daniel tried to fight it at first, but once his lawyer saw the evidence, they advised him to settle. He was terrified I'd exposed the affair to his firm. I let him think I might, which gave me leverage. In the end, I got the house after buying out his half of the equity with my inheritance refund, half of his retirement account, and half of everything we'd accumulated during the marriage. He had to pay my legal fees because of the adultery. I walked away with enough money to feel secure and the satisfaction of knowing he lost everything he'd taken for granted. But here's the thing, the revenge wasn't even the best part of this story. About 2 months after Daniel moved out, Mira invited me to a painting class. You need to do something fun, she said. Something just for you. I almost said no, I wasn't really the painting type, but something made me say yes. The class was in this cute studio downtown, and the instructor was this guy named Adrian. He had paint-stained hands, kind eyes, and this gentle way of teaching that made even the most artistically challenged person feel capable. He didn't hover or condescend. He just encouraged. During a break, he came over to look at my admittedly terrible painting of a bowl of fruit. You're being too cautious, he said, smiling. Art isn't about perfection, it's about expression. Here, try this. He handed me a bigger brush. Make bolder strokes, see what happens. I did. It looked worse, honestly, but it felt amazing. There you go, he laughed. Now you're having fun with it. We started talking. He asked what brought me to the class, and I gave him the short version. Going through a divorce, friend thought I needed a hobby. Oh, he nodded. Yeah, art therapy is real. I started teaching these classes after my mom died. Painting helped me process. There was something so honest about him. No games, no pretense. Just a real human being having a real conversation. We talked after every class. Then we started getting coffee before class. Then the coffee stretched to dinner. I told him I wasn't ready for anything serious, and he said he wasn't pushing, he just enjoyed my company. Adrian was everything Daniel wasn't. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He shared his feelings without making it my job to fix them. He had his own life, his own friends, his own passions. He didn't need me to complete him, he wanted to compliment me. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Adrian asked me on an official date. We went to an art gallery, of course, and then to this tiny Italian restaurant where the owner knew him by name. Over tiramisu, he took my hand. "Emma, I know you've been hurt, and I know trust is hard, but I really like you, a lot, and I want to see where this could go, if you're open to it." I looked at this man, this kind, patient, creative man who'd never once made me feel small or stupid or less than, and I realized something. I wasn't the same woman who'd married Daniel. That Emma had been scared of being alone, so scared that she'd accepted crumbs and called it a feast. This Emma, she knew her worth. She had her own money, her own home, her own life. She didn't need a man, which meant she was free to choose one who actually deserved her. "I'm very open to it," I said. "We've been together for 8 months now. He has a drawer at my house. I have a key to his apartment. We're taking it slow, building something real and solid. His friends are my friends now. Mira adores him. My family thinks he's the best thing that ever happened to me. And you want to know the funniest part? Daniel married Jessica 4 months after our divorce was finalized. I heard through mutual friends that she's already complaining about him working late all the time. History repeating itself. I'd feel bad for her, but she knew he was married when she started sleeping with him, so honestly, they deserve each other. Last month, I ran into Daniel at a coffee shop. He was alone, looking tired. He tried to make small talk. "You look good, Emma, happy." "I am happy, very happy." "I heard you're seeing someone, that artist guy." "I am." There was this pause, and then he said, "I made a mistake, letting you go. I could have been petty. I could have twisted the knife. But instead, I just smiled and said, 'You didn't let me go, Daniel. I freed myself. There's a difference.' And I walked away. I don't think about Daniel much anymore. The anger is gone. The hurt is gone. All that's left is gratitude, gratitude that he showed me who he really was, gratitude that I found the strength to leave, and gratitude that his betrayal led me to this life I never knew I could have. I have a career I love. I have friends who show up for me. I have a partner who treats me like an equal. I have a home that's mine, filled with my art. Yes, I still paint badly, but enthusiastically, my books, my choices. The woman who sat at that anniversary table a year ago, waiting for a husband who never came home. She's gone. And I don't miss her at all. To everyone reading this who's in the middle of their own betrayal story, I see you. I know it hurts. I know you feel stupid and broken and like you'll never be whole again. But you will. You'll be more than whole. You'll be free. And freedom? Freedom is worth every painful step it takes to get there. Update: wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Thank you all for the kind words and support. A few people asked for more details, so here are some answers to common questions. Q. How did you stay so calm during the 3 months of planning? A. Therapy. Lots of therapy. I started seeing a therapist the week after I discovered the affair. She helped me process the emotions privately so I could stay strategic publicly. I'd go to my sessions and cry and rage and grieve, and then I'd go home and execute my plan. Having that outlet was crucial. Q. Did his family know about the affair? A. Eventually, yes. His mom called me after the divorce asking what happened. I told her the truth. She apologized to me and said she was ashamed of him. We actually still exchange Christmas cards. His dad, on the other hand, blamed me for not keeping him happy at home. I blocked his number. Q. What happened at his work? A. I never had to expose him. Turns out office affairs are terrible secrets people knew. After our divorce, Jessica got a reputation as a homewrecker and Daniel lost some professional respect. He's still at the firm, but he's not the golden boy anymore. Karma handled that part for me. Q. How's it going with Adrian? A. Amazing. We're talking about moving in together next year. He's teaching me to paint murals and I'm teaching him graphic design. We're actually collaborating on a children's book project. He makes me laugh every single day. Q. Any regrets? A. Only one, that I didn't trust my gut sooner. But even that led me here, so maybe no regrets after all. To everyone going through something similar, be smart, be strategic, and be kind to yourself. You deserve so much better than someone who doesn't see your worth. And to Daniel, if you're somehow reading this, I hope Jessica is worth it. I really do. Because losing me cost you everything.